I had started originally when I planned to, like I would be so much further along than I am now. So just want to encourage people to just put something out there into the world and learn as you go. Just iterate and just make it better. And I think you'll be better for it in the long run.
Welcome back, Pushin Performance Fam, to the show. We're super stoked to have on our friend, our colleague, Jordan Baker-Blanc at Fairway Golf Fitness, the best and biggest golf fitness page on IG. But Jordan, former D1 collegiate strength coach. He's been an excellent performance coach in Seattle for the past 2 years, and he's worked with everyone from high-level athletes to your weekend warriors to your folks who are just getting started in fitness. And now he's taken his experience from working with golf at the D1 level, and he's spending a lot of his time niching down and working with golfers. But JT, what topics we get into today?
Ooh, we got into a lot of topics, a lot of my favorites. We get into social media, his spike, his success, his failures, all those things to that led him to where he is right now. The state of S&C golf, which is where we pretty much hung out a little bit because we talked about sport-specific training, the state of the S&C world in golf, and athletes buy-in, which is always a fun topic. And we just get to know Jordan a little bit with some rapid-fire questions.
Hey, always fun. Well, we hope you guys enjoy this half as much as we enjoyed recording it. We'll catch you on the other side.
All right, let's do it.
Let's get to what we came here for. And that's me with you, Jordan. Jordan Baker-Blanc. Is that how you say your full name?
Yeah, you nailed it.
I keep doing this thing. It's not like it's a crazy hard name to say, but I keep doing this thing where I never say someone's name out loud until we've pressed record. And then I say it's a high pressure situation, high risk, low reward. I say it in front of them for the first time, so that's exciting to actually say it right.
Yeah, you didn't go blank. That's the easiest mess up. Baker-Blanc.
Jordan Baker-Blanc. Yeah, it's not Blanc is infinitely cooler, but
Yeah.
Truthfully, you've been a target guest since the inception of the show. I don't know if you know that. On our original notes,
It's
JVB
news to
was
me.
on there.
That's news to me, man. I never heard anything about it.
JVB was on. I almost had second thoughts after y'all ditched me in Florida for the beach, but after hearing that you were the only one sticking up for me, I was like, he can come on the show.
All right.
He knew that. He'd be on the show.
You missed out, man. It was a $4 martini night at the beach there.
Oh,
we had ourselves a time. That's
$4 martinis.
That's a Florida exclusive, man. They don't
do that in Seattle.
They don't get you a glass of water for $4 here, man.
That would have been a 1 hour night for me. I would have been like, I'm done. See ya.
JT's a wine guy anyway.
In fairness, I saw that you're out on the wineries yesterday, weren't you?
I was. Pebble Beach,
Oh my God, how fitting!
Very
fitting.
Very.
JT even swung a club yesterday.
I was at the driving range.
He's like, I played Pebble Beach yesterday. Just every golfer's dream. Like,
is it really?
Yeah, it's a very solid, like a top 3 course, I'd say.
Hey,
it's hard to do. Augusta's like, you have to know someone who's a member there to play. That's where they play the Masters. But like, I think Pebble's right up there with it.
Oh,
that's a bucket list item.
I didn't play there. I'll tell you that. I did go to driving range though.
Swing a club in the
different location.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just put up like a square of turf out there.
I'm sorry to backtrack, but I got to defend myself about the beach fill.
What happened?
So we were going out to dinner. We weren't just like, and like the first restaurant we went to had a 45-minute wait, hour wait, and so we didn't know where we were going to go, so we didn't know where to tell you to meet us really until it was like we found a spot and we're getting seated. So it was like if there was a plan in place, I could have let you know. But this was just like we're just finding where it will take us, because who knew that Gulf Breeze was such a hot destination, man. People love Floribama.
Hot commodity. Who knew?
On Memorial Day weekend.
Who knew? People love it there. Yeah. I just love antagonizing guests. Also, to everyone else's credit, I was just being in the gym like a weirdo by myself. In the quiet, it was dark. I was in the gym alone.
Hey, I can't knock you for that. You got toys like they have there in that facility. You got to take advantage.
I was like, I'm just gonna jump around on force plates and throw things around and be alone in here.
See, because you didn't have us there. You didn't have us there to just derail you. I just absolutely thrashed your workout. I had like 10 people coming over.
Impromptu force plate seminar.
Yeah, exactly.
But it was good.
I apologize for that too.
No, you're good. You're
that
good.
And the beach.
Hell of a week.
All right, for real now. Here we go.
Oh my goodness. JT, you good, bro?
Solid.
Dang. All right, well, Jordan, let's kick it off with a little social media talk, I guess. A little social media talk.
Social media. The big elephant in my room, my head, my question, like, yo, Jordan has been killing it. How? Like, I think I met you in what, November 22? Does that sound right?
That was it, yeah.
Around that time, and I don't think you started, or maybe it was in your brain still, but soon after that, there was like a spike of your social media frenzy, and I was just amazed every post, every time you've gotten better. But dude, tell us the start. How'd you get there?
Yeah, when we met, I probably posted twice in the last 18 months on my personal page. I was never a social media person. It was just something that I thought was probably like a natural order of events, just because I've been in this industry for a decade, and while I can't see myself doing anything else really for work, it kind of, the other thing I really love to do is travel, and coaching and traveling are kind of at odds with each other. Kind of have to be present to coach someone, until I kind of was introduced to the concept of online coaching, which I think was introduced to me by Eric Helms. He's like living in New Zealand and coaching people. He was really on the forefront of this online coaching industry. And so I just kind of realized, all right, like I kind of hate social media, but I think this is kind of the route you have to go if you want to, build an audience and establish some credibility. And so I went all in on it. And let's see, you said, how have I been successful? I think three things mostly. I think having a really clearly defined niche. You guys nichers or nichers?
We're typically nichers, but you can niche it up on here.
It sounds like I'm trying to be too fancy when I say niche. I don't know.
Hey, your last name's Blanc, bro. Just say niche.
That's true. That's all right, I'm gonna niche slap that out of myself, and we'll go niche.
There you go.
All right, three things I'd say. One, having that clearly defined niche. So it's, no one knows how the algorithm works, but I think that it's really obvious who Instagram should be showing my content to, because literally every post is golf related. And a couple of times I've tried to stray outside of that and post something where I was like, oh shit, I'm on vacation. I don't have anything to post. And I post like what I thought was a beautiful vacation video. It flops. It gets like 10% of the reach. So I think being really consistent in the content and who you're making it for. Two is consistency. So before I posted anything, I filmed 50 videos. I had them all edited in my drafts, ready to go. And I think that was huge because it just it made it really frictionless. So you could just post on a schedule and not have to do a ton of work. And also it made it a lot harder for me to quit, because in those early days, it's like you're talking to a brick wall, and it'd be really easy to get discouraged and just like
Sure.
throw in the towel. But this guaranteed, like, I'm going to post 50 videos no matter what, because I already did
Got
it.
it.
And
Yeah.
that was enough to start to get a little bit of traction, to get some messages from people who are like, hey, this really helped. And that kind of fuels the fire a bit, and kind of keeps you going. The consistency, the niche.
Before getting to that, those parts, which are, you know, like clips in itself, like those are like, people need to write some notes down. Why golf? Like, what was there a point where you're like, oh, I'm gonna start this IG, and you created Eric Helms, and then you found your niche? Like, how did you find that niche? Where?
Sure. Yeah, for sure. It was kind of the rotational sport specialty was kind of thrown upon me when I was coaching at UC Santa Barbara. So I was put in charge of golf, tennis, water polo, softball, baseball. So I was working with rotational athletes, and so it became kind of a choice between those, where it's like, all right, I have this credibility from doing this at a high level. Like, coaching in a Division I level just gives me credibility. So I kind of narrowed it down to those. And working with golfers is super rewarding, because a lot of them have not spent any sort of meaningful time in the gym. They don't really have a high training age. So you see really fast adaptation, because we're going from 0 to 1 with a lot of these guys. So I found it really rewarding, just because of the progress you can make. But there's other reasons too. I think that there's a lot of misinformation in the golf fitness space. And so I thought that I could make a splash by just, not really reinventing the wheel, but just kind of bringing traditional S&C concepts into this space. And it felt like no one was really killing it on social media. So it felt like I could kind of swoop in there and, make an impact. And if you ask me my first year, like, what's your goal by the end of the year? I'd be like, dude, it'd be really cool if I could have like 5,000 followers, like 10,000 followers. And in that time, somehow managed to grow the largest golf fitness account. It was like 100,000 something followers in the first year.
Yeah, but we're gonna get to that. But me, and
right.
I love misinformation. What do you see with the golf fitness side of things on social media?
A lot of Bosu balls, a lot of fear of lifting, like of loading your athletes. And you even see it. Most of the pro golfers have come around to the idea, hey, it's probably a good idea to train for my sport. But even a lot of those guys, you see some of the stuff they're doing, and you're like, man, there's still some charlatans out there that are that have got you on 2 Bosu balls and loading the club up to a cable machine, and there's still some goofy stuff going on. But I think just the fear still around, like, oh, don't want to get too bulky, don't want to lift heavy and get injured. It's kind of just being embraced, I'd say. So it's kind of an exciting time. That was one of the other reasons why golf fitness seemed like a good space to get into. Just, it's like, to me, it looks like buying Google in 2000, where it's like, it's just starting to take off.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting. I like that.
That's sweet. I guess we can just dive straight into the state of
Sorry,
golf S&C.
I'm jumping forward.
Fired up. Let's get it popping, man. I as two people who are bad golfers, and JT and myself, I'm probably better than JT if we're both being honest. And
I got a bad Achilles, so you got me.
There you go. On account of injury, I've only trained 2 or 3 golfers in my time, and honestly don't pay attention to golf that much. So, you mentioned the pros starting to take strength and conditioning, and really the only time I see pros training is from your page, right? So that's been enlightening for us. But what would you say, like, the general state is, of S&C for golf? I know you mentioned that it's starting up, but is there any difference now between pros and amateurs, and then your everyday weekend warriors as far as how they're taking to training?
Sure. So, like I kind of alluded to, I think that strength conditioning for golf is kind of entering its renaissance age, where it's just starting to really take off. And the difference, I'd say, between pros and recreational golfers is the pros have at least embraced it. It kind of started with Tiger, where they were like, "Oh shit, this guy's just, he's crushing it. He's he's just changed the game."
Yeah.
So all of them have kind of realized, hey, this is, necessary if I want to optimize my performance out there. The way they've gone about it, like I said, there are still some guys who are training some of the top players in the world. I'm not going to name any names, but there's stuff where I'm like, damn, like that's what they got them doing. Like we're doing the Bosu front foot elevated squat with no weight with a little band twist. Like,
that's the input.
Yeah. So it's almost like some of it's still just like trying to check the box. Like, yeah, I'm training.
Yeah.
I'd say the difference is those pro guys, they know, hey, I got to do this. And some of the recreational guys, I still get messages or comments of people just like, all you need is mobility. You don't need to be wasting your time with this stuff. It's like, do you think those high level guys are doing this for fun? Like, I would do it for fun, but I don't think they'd be doing it if they didn't think it was going to move the needle in their performance. And then another one you get is like, it's so unfortunate Tiger was plagued by injury later in his career, because then you got people like, see, that's what he gets for lifting weights. And realistically, it was the two, freak car accidents he had, and dude also said
things.
Dude said he used to run 30 miles a week. Like, he had no business running that kind of mileage.
Yeah. Guess the golf cart was out, bro. He just
running the course.
Dude just loved to work hard. He was just addicted to working hard and thought that was going to help. So yeah, I think the pros they're a little bit more on the cutting edge, and now that's kind of the intention behind sharing some of those training videos of the pros, because people get fired up about it. They're like, oh yeah, I want to do what they're doing, and I'll try and explain a little bit. But there's other ones where I'm like, there's no point in sharing this, and then I'll share it, and people will comment. The most common comment is like, you think John Daly did this stuff? Do you guys know John Daly?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, it's just the least sound scientific argument. It's like,
why is he the one that people point to?
Man. People tout him. He is like I don't know, he was like the savior of golf for some reason, but they're like, yo, he smoked a pack while he played. It was sick.
No, man. That's like eating McDonald's for high performance from what's our guy? Ocho Cinco?
Ocho?
Yeah, exactly. Or who's the DK Metcalf, the Seahawks receiver, is just like, coffee and like 3 bags of candy and then like one big meal at the end of the day. It's like, damn. Like, these guys are successful despite their habits, their regimen, their diet. They're not successful because of that. So if you want to comment and say, like, do you think John Daly was doing this? It's like, he was hitting over 300 yards, so he probably could have been better if he was training. But if you're not hitting over 300 yards, then like, this is probably where you should start. Otherwise, you're kind of just accepting mediocrity. You're like, I want to get better at golf, but I don't want to be as good as I could be.
Yeah. Real quick, I want to take it back. You mentioned Bosu ball a few times, and then our boy Weck is turning over his grave right now.
Every episode.
No, we're not doing David Weck.
Our boy Weck, he's like, he got his fist on his hips right now, just like, yo, what are you talking about right now? What? Playing devil's advocate. What if I do a lot of Bosu ball stuff and I hit pretty well? Like, what's the knock on Bosu balls and or anything else of that sport specific, trying to simulate some golf like or create balance, all these reasons for people using that. Well, what's the rationalizing of, or what's the rationalization of just saying it sucks, don't do it?
Sure. I almost brought up WEC as a joke to derail this whole thing. So I'm glad you beat me to the punch, man. I think that it's almost like just from first like an observation, I think it's like a way to avoid doing really meaningful work and like really avoid loading your athletes heavy for these golfers. And it just looks fancy, and they see some of these pro guys doing it, so it kind of like establishes it as a credible thing. I don't have the exact reference, but I've read some research papers that showed, we have a control group that's doing traditional strength training, and we have a group that's training on Bosu balls, and it ended up being, I don't think it was a reduction in power. I don't think they got slower, but they just got less out of the training. So it's like, why bother?
Yeah.
Because I think the thought is balance, right? Like, can you just be balanced? If you're balanced on this Bosu ball, you could probably be balanced on solid floor.
That is the thought. That is the thought. There's, I even have, balance is obviously important for golf. You don't want to fall over when you're swinging, but like, there's a part of the TPI assessment that's like a single leg, eyes closed, balance test. And even that, I'm like, I don't know if that's that important to be able to balance with your eyes closed for 15 seconds or 30 seconds. Like, it's not one that I prioritize super high in there. If you have issues with falling over and stuff, then maybe let's really hammer the single leg training, which we're already doing. But I don't, you're never going to be on that wobbly surface when you're swinging. So it's not improving specificity or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like JT's just getting kickback for selling Bosu balls or something. I don't know.
I know you're super open-minded, bro. I know you're
discount code JT on the bosuball.com website.
I've listened to 70% of the episodes, and I know you try and find a rationale for everything. So I like that mindset. I think it's a really good way to be. So yeah, I mean, like, we have a physical therapist, and he uses it for rehab and stuff, and he's a smart guy, so he must have some reason, but I haven't found it. I'm not a corrective exercise guy. I like to refer out when it comes to anything like that. So what's the best function you've found for it?
Bosu balls? The podcast. I feel like it's one of the greatest topics of discussion I've found, honestly.
Ruffle some feathers, just get people fired up.
Honestly.
Podcast.
I mean, we're not going to get into the Bosu ball specifically on this episode, but more just curious of, like, because we see that in a lot of sports, not just golf. Basketball I still see, and everybody does it. Everybody has done it, and they attribute that to their success in the sport, right? So I think now that falls into the realm of sports specific training, which I know you want to get into. Phil, do you have anything around that? I know your brain is like burning right now, so I want to let you spit real quick.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jordan just called out some great stuff, and I think, like, to basketball, maybe Jordan, I didn't even think about this, or I haven't been thinking about it this way, but like talking about doing Bosu balls in the quote unquote sports specific, whether it's like banded training or whatever, like you said, adding cables to the club, like it's a way to say you're training without having to train super hard, right? Without having to get a meaningful training input from, like, strength or speed or whatever, something that's challenging to the system. Looking at golf, similar to basketball, like athletes that don't want to train. You know what I mean? Like, do you find that with the your clients who are your everyday golfers, working 9 to 5, just love the sport, want to get better at the sport, they want to feel better, want to feel stronger, whatever it might be? Like, do you feel that resistance initially?
I think the guys who I'm working with have all, the fact that they've come to me, they've embraced it. We do this in a group setting. We'll do like small group training, and they love it. They look forward to it.
Hell yeah.
Some of the guys are working their ass off. Other guys are there just sandbagging it, but they just love to be. They should be a part of it, and feel like they're working. I think as a whole, golfers it's such a unique sport. People, it's so addicting. I think it's really hard to master. And so people get hooked, and they're, for the most part, willing to do whatever it takes to get better. So I've worked with other sports where they're way more allergic to the weight room, like cross country, soccer. These guys just, they can't do it. And even getting the coach to buy in is like pulling teeth, trying to convince the coach that, hey, this is not at odds with what you're doing. Like, it's a compliment to what you're doing. The golfers aren't so bad. They're not that bad.
What's your typical pitch? If like a golfer's being resistant or they're on the fence about strength training, what's your typical pitch to get them on board to the process?
I'd say pointing to past results helps. So just having done this at a high level and being able to say, like, hey, this is what has worked for hundreds of golfers that I've worked with, Division I guys that are now playing professional golf, Canadian PGA Tour, but it's professional golf still.
Pro.
Yeah, like just having that, the proof of concept, to say, like, hey, look at, we've got these 4 power assessments we're going to do, get a baseline, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to test again and keep on, measuring this so we can make sure that what we're doing is actually having a good effect, meaningful effect. And let's see, getting them a quick win. If you can get these guys a quick win to show, like, hey, we can make a big difference. If we can do this in one day, what can we do in, 8 weeks of training?
What's a quick win?
Even something simple like, we'll do a quick mobility assessment, and a lot of people will be locked up in their hips or their T-spine. And, taking them through some breathing drills, a couple of mobility drills, and being able to measure, take them through this little, like, 5-minute sequence, and then, remeasure and say, oh, look at that. We opened up another 10 degrees of rotation in your thoracic spine. And for them to just see something happen quickly like that, a lot of times you'll see kind of a light go off where they're like, oh, wow, there might be something to this.
Yeah.
So getting them a quick win kind of helps with that longer term buy-in. And then once they start doing it and they realize, like, hey, this is fun and I feel better out on the course, and, show some testimonials, and it's all gravy from there.
Yeah. Dang, I love just objectively tracking training. Let's objectively show progress. Crazy. But it sounds like your testing battery and the way you think about, like, your kind of general philosophy around golf S&C is taking that more general approach, right? Am I on the right track as far as, like, you're looking to improve these general either capacities with, like, kind of range of motion and things like that, or outputs? So looking at force output or power. Is that kind of how you think about it?
It is a general approach. I'd say that I remember listening to the Ramsey Nigem episode, and he was like, what am I going to post on social media? You want to see me do dumbbell rows for 24 weeks straight? And I've embraced this, like, to give them what they want so you can give them what they need, kind of like a spoonful of sugar to help them take their medicine.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll kind of build in some of the, like, fancier stuff that I think is, not as meaningful as, the more, like, traditional training that we do, kind of like Exos methodology stuff. I'll build it in the warm up, and I'm like, this is serving a purpose still. It's, we're getting their core temperature up and taking them through full ranges of motion and everything. It's probably not going to be quite as critical as the meat and potatoes of the training.
Yeah.
But I've kind of come to terms with, like, hey, I can give them some of this fancy stuff that they see their favorite pro golfer doing, and it's going to kind of really help with the buy-in, just because they feel like, this is, like, for golf. Like,
it's that golf stuff right here. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was something that I did at UC Santa Barbara too, where it was like, God, man, these guys are just in college. They just want to get a pump on, like, 10-minute arm farm at the end, just pick a couple exercises, have at it. This is not going to negatively impact you, but they love it. And it helps them get through the workout, and you get a little bit more, buy-in from the guys, then it's absolutely worth it. So, kind of give them what they want so you can give them what they need.
Um, Speaking of posts, I know your posts like are in terms of the movements that you put on and then the captions that you put on them. For example, do this if you want to create a powerful swing, or and it's like a medicine ball in a sagittal plane. So I put myself in a golfer's lens that knows nothing about SNC, and I come across your page, how does that buy-in like actually get bought in? Like, if I see you doing a one-arm row on the page, and you're saying do this if you want a powerful swing, how do people buy into that? Because if I look at that as a golfer, I'm like, why would I want to do that? And I don't know this dude. He's showing up on my explore page. Like, how does that connect? Like, how do you do it so well to where people are bought in, and it's like a movement that doesn't look like golf, but it improves golf. Like, we know in the industry, like, improving these qualities from a human movement standpoint gets you better at golf. But then if somebody does not know S&C, they see this movement and they're like, "What? Why? This dude's just putting a fake ass caption, right? How do you do that? How do you do that so well?"
I think that just like taking research and then just really simplifying it so people can understand. And so usually if let's say I did a video about a dumbbell row, the lats are one of the most active muscles in the downswing. And so if you just say that in like, that first line in the caption might be like, this is why it's important for golfers. So you get them to click into it, and then it'll kind of, I won't even like reference a paper, but it'll just say like, hey, the lats are highly active when you're initiating that downswing. Being able to increase your muscle mass here, and the rate of force development is going to help you increase your club head speed, and that is something that virtually every golfer is chasing.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good, because what sets you apart, in my opinion, from the guys that you didn't mention, but you mentioned with the Bosu balls guys, is that you're doing sports specific training without making it look like sports specific training, right? And I want to hear both your thoughts in terms of where that is currently in our space of how it's been and where it is now.
For sure. Me first, or you, Phil?
Sure, you go crazy.
I fire it away. Yeah, I mean, I think that sports specific training gets kind of an unfair rap in the strength conditioning kind of community. So like if I posted videos where I say like, golf specific exercise, and I'm like, oh, I expect backlash from people who, from my peers in the field.
Do you get a little like, well, actually, this isn't, this isn't golf specific? Like, do you get that stuff from coaches?
Not a ton. I'm going to jinx myself now, but I'm surprised at how little hate that I've gotten.
You better get slammed.
I know. I'm just going to open up the floodgates right now.
Shame. You better get slammed. That stinks,
man. Well, actually,
yeah. I'll get a few, comments, and I don't waste time. I don't even respond. I don't bother blocking or anything like that. I just kind of let it roll. But I think that, people, there's the argument like real sports specific training is done on the field, on the court, on the pitch, whatever it is. And I mean, while that's true, like the way we train different athletes is going to vary hugely based on the demands of their sport. So like, I train both tennis and golfers, and yes, there's a lot of overlap there, but like I'm not doing agility work with my golfers. I'm not doing you can kind of change of direction stuff. And so that element makes it more specific to tennis than it is for golf. Or like, I work with the throwers at UC Santa Barbara. These guys are squatting 500 pounds, and it's because the implement that they use is really heavy. So that was something that was taught to me early on by one of my mentors there, Eric Schmidt, who basically said like the heavier the implement, then the greater the demand is for strength from that athlete. So the hitters in baseball would be lifting heavier than the pitchers generally, and same thing. So I don't need my golfers to be deadlifting 500 pounds. So that makes the like super high loading more specific to a thrower than it is to a golfer.
Yeah.
But there's stuff that I do, like there are huge demands for hip internal rotation in golf. That's one of the leading causes of low back pain in golfers is lack of hip internal rotation. So we're going to address that both in the mobility kind of series before, and then also like I think there's a lot of value in doing, you know, exercises like a rotational split squat, which, you know, people will look at and be like, okay, that's like, I see how that's sport specific to golf. And I agree. I think it has its place.
Yeah. Do you care like what your God, that's a bad way to frame. Do you care what your clients think? But like if your clients are like,
just do it.
If your clients are like, yeah, this is the sport specific move, are you like, or do you well actually them, or are you typically just like, yep, like yep, whatever.
Like if they're presenting an exercise to me and being like, oh, this is something that's sport specific and I want to try it out.
Not even there. Like if them just working with you and they're like, I really like this, you know, rotational lunge, this rotational split squat. Like I can see how this relates to golf, and they don't necessarily see the connection between just like a heavy bilateral lift or like a medicine ball throw to their swing, but they see that for whatever reason. Do you just like let that fly, let that rock?
I think I'll say, you know, it all has its place. You know, like
Okay.
There's a reason why we're doing it, but I'd say I spend more time explaining why we're doing the more traditional, bilateral movements.
Yeah.
That requires a little bit more explanation to get them bought in.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, I love everything you said there, Jordan. It really sounds like just a general needs analysis, like who is this person or people in front of me and what do they need based on the demands of what they're trying to do. Let's work backwards from there to where they're at now, and let's build a plan to get them to where they want to be. Like I agree that I think sports specificity, the pendulum has swung all the way to like it's stupid, and it started its swing back to like, oh, we about to be in 3 years, we about to be sports specific as hell again. Especially as more coaches niche down and like understand the sport better. Right, that's huge. Like thinking about, you know, when you were at UCSB, it's like you're working with how many sports? Like you don't have the time to like lock in on, you know, watching tennis game tape and like studying the sport. You know what I mean? But now you do.
Yeah,
right? Because
exactly.
now you're so niche down on golf. Like now you can really watch the game and get into the nitty gritty of the game. So like, do you think with that growth, like, is there ever a time where you might start to become a little bit more specific, or is it just staying, you know, around where it's at now?
If I'm presented with, you know, something that changes my mind, then I'm willing to adapt for sure.
Yeah.
But I think that the basics are always going to, you know, they're always going to be kind of the foundation of a program. And I think that if you look at one of the programs I write, there's stuff in there where you're like, yeah, you probably wouldn't see a football player doing that. So I think I'm at that like that just right spot, I think, for the amount of sports specific stuff that I'm including, while, you know, staying true to kind of the traditional S&C roots as well.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
With, you know, the that side of the industry where I'm doing sports specific, I got a golf club with some cables and I'm loading it. How do you speak to those types of training modalities? And like, how is it not sports specific, I guess?
I think that, so if I've got someone who's doing that currently, you can kind of explain like, hey, we can get some meaningful load on you in something that looks similar, like a chop or a lift. And I think that it's something that we'll be able to, load you more significantly and, you know, establish like an actual athletic quality that's gonna carry over, instead of you know, you're already swinging a club, you know, hundreds, maybe thousands of times in a week. If you're one of these guys, like overuse injuries are really rampant in golf, and it's, we should probably be doing some more of the opposite stuff here in the weight room instead of just like hammering the exact same thing, but adding, a little bit of, extra load on there.
So almost creating balance of their overall movement first as a way to prevent overuse injuries. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly. You're always the best at summing up mine and Phil's ramblings.
I'm not that smart, so I just like let me boil it down so I can understand it real quick, because that's helpful. I mean, we have a lot of coaches on this pod, right? Mainly coaches, to where like we are doing our best to train our clients who play a sport, whether it be pro, collegiate, or weekend warrior, and we want to do our best to create that buy-in and put a golf club in their hands, put a basketball in their hands, and make it specific for them, right? So I'm just for me, I'm just trying to help us think about how we get into that frame of like it's still sport specific without understanding that there's an overuse component, like you mentioned, which is a nice way to think about that. So it helps me for sure. Just like, all right, let me just take this golf club out your hands. Don't weight it. Let's think about rotational work as a whole and balance out the movements of this human. So helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, there's there's things like speed trainers where people do a lot of overspeed training for golf, where they're swinging these speed sticks. They have speed sticks that weigh less than a driver, so you can move faster, basically.
Like a baseball? Don't they have like a baseball too? Like
I know. I mean, you see people do the donuts. Yeah, they'll do donuts. Yeah, they do that for the speed sticks. So you can go lighter, you can go heavier, you can adjust the weight of this thing. But it works. You do get this neurological adaptation where your brain realizes like I can move faster than I previously thought I was capable of. But that's like the top of the pyramid as far as my philosophy goes. Like, you need to build that requisite mobility and foundation of strength before we really get into even like doing meaningful power work. Like, I don't know if you've ever trained someone who's just like not strong at all. Like, we're not going to be generating any power. Like, we're wasting our time. And then if you've built the training age up and kind of established that baseline, and you want to add in overspeed training and speed sticks, like, sure. But I've seen there's these guys called Par for Success. They just have a facility and they run a lot of like in-house research studies. And they were like, let's do one on speed sticks. And they got some of these companies on board, and like 80% of their participants got injured doing it. Just because like you got someone who can't decelerate, can't rotate into their hip, and then you get them swinging the stick around at 140 miles an hour. Like, this is just a recipe for disaster. So it works for like, the minority of people who have any business doing it. Absolutely you can work your way up to that point, but people want to just jump right into that. Like, oh, I don't need to lift weights. I can increase my club head speed by just like swinging this stick 100 times. And then again, that just feeds into the overuse kind of thing we were talking about.
Yeah. That's so good. I mean, damn, yeah, definitely. Many people who aren't that strong, and it's like, power, how much work can you do in a given amount of time? How quickly can you develop force? It's like, well, the max amount of force you can develop is pretty low. I don't really care how fast you can do it. It doesn't really matter that much. So is that kind of your pyramid, and does that lead into your kind of assessment battery and the qualities that you're actually trying to improve? You said the meat and potatoes of your program. Is it that like kind of mobility, and then your strength, like how much force can you produce, and then start to get into some of the power stuff?
Yeah, I think I think earlier I drew it out as like mobility at the bottom. I think strength and mobility were there. I've never just taken someone on and been like, oh yeah, we're just going to work on mobility.
Yeah.
Like, we always work on them simultaneously.
Yep.
So I'd say that all the variables are present, and you just kind of change the levels of them depending on where you're at in the season, what kind of athlete you're working with specifically. I know how much you guys love a pyramid. So yeah, I'd say like strength and mobility at the bottom, power, and then maybe if you want to get into some of that over speed training at the top down the line.
Well, on that note, selfishly, I wanted to ask because I have a few golfers or weekend warriors that play golf, um, and I do my best. I try to, that's why I go to the driving range, just to create context for myself. But if I'm listening and I'm a weekend warrior, don't really do much strength training, but I'm thinking about it a little bit more. What can I prioritize to get better at my swing?
It's not sexy, but I'd say like if you get strong, like we talked about, like the equation for power is work over time. So force production is a third of the variables there. So literally, if you just get stronger in the main movement patterns, just squat, hinge, push, and pull, you're going to get better. And I'd say the TPI assessment's like 15 items, but you can narrow it down to like 4 things that really matter. Like the 4 main rotary centers, it's your neck, which is weird because it doesn't look like you're turning your neck a lot in the golf swing, but you're looking down at the ball and everything is turning around it. So you do have to have decent neck mobility. I forget if I've made a video on this or if I'm just planning on making a video on this, but
About to now.
Yeah, right. But like a quick little 4-point assessment of like, okay, can I touch my collarbone with my chin? Can I rotate 45 degrees through my upper back when I'm seated? I'll make a video about it. But incorporating some mobility before you get into your strength training, those 4 main movement patterns, and just doing that mobility so we can get into better positions, and we'll get a little bit more out of our training most people are locked up somewhere. So it's a matter of finding out where and then addressing that. And it's going to prolong your golf career. It's going to reduce your risk of injury, and it's going to make you more effective when you're out there too.
Yeah. Dang. Kind of in that similar vein, JT, a question that I've been burning to ask here. It's something I've just been thinking about myself a ton, just lying awake at night thinking about how strong is strong enough. When you look at a sport like golf, and yes, it's probably individualized to each athlete and their individual strengths and weaknesses, kind of how they swing the club. But is there a point where strength training, in your mind, is there a point where strength training has diminishing returns? Like, is there a point where you think someone could be too strong, or maybe not too strong, but focusing on strength too much?
That's always the hardest question. Yeah, like how strong is strong enough?
No,
it's fine.
I've been battling with this.
Internally. It's a great question. It's a great question. There's definitely a point of diminishing returns, I'd say. Going from a 300-pound squat to a 400-pound squat, like, it'll help, but the amount of time that it'll take to do that is probably going to take away from the amount of time that could be spent elsewhere. So that's where you run into issues when it's like, okay, do I have enough time to practice? Is my training actually interfering with practice or my ability to recover? But I've got a guy who was a Division I discus thrower, I think shot put and discus, and like he's swings the club 140 miles an hour. He's bombing 300 plus yard drives with ease, and he's an anomaly. He's like just super mobile. Could damn near do the splits, and he's just like an example I like to point to when you get people who say like, oh, I don't want to get too bulky. It's going to mess with my mobility. It's like, this guy's like 240 pounds and just explosive as all hell, and is one of the most mobile guys that I train. So those are not mutually exclusive at all.
Yeah. The Juju Mufus of the world.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the other example I would give. Dudes doing splits on chairs. But yeah, it's so hard to give like a number, like a body weight, like, you should be able to deadlift 1.5 times your body weight for 5 reps. Like, I think it's arbitrary.
Yeah.
But like, to go back to JT's question, when you said like, you're a weekend warrior, what can I do the best? Like, the lowest hanging fruit for most of these guys is just get stronger, and it's going to carry over. Like, you really don't have to reinvent the wheel here.
Yeah. Do you tend to keep your, as far as like frequency goes throughout the week, does that vary a ton? for you and your athletes, or is it just like, I'm starting people at this number typically, as far as like how many days per week they train?
I'd say I have to talk some people down sometimes, and I'm like, okay, what are you doing now? And they're like, oh, nothing. I don't train. And like, all right, well, how many days do you think you can commit to? And they're like, 6 days. And I'm just like, I don't train 6 days. Like, well, where are we going to go from there?
Yeah.
So and I've heard you guys talk about minimum effective dose on here too. And if you're not doing anything, training twice a week is going to be a meaningful stimulus and enough for you to adapt from. I think 3 days is kind of a sweet spot that I find people in, especially if they're playing a lot of golf. I'll kind of go like an A/B split for, like an A/B Monday and Wednesday, and then maybe with something lower intensity on Friday if they're going to be golfing the next day, depending on how serious they are. Like if they're competing, I don't want them to be feeling all kinds of soreness and cursing me out there on the course. But like 3 days in season and off season, we can hit it a little bit harder. I'd say we can ramp up the volume and go like 4, even 5 times a week if you've got the resources and the time.
Okay. And how do you generally, like, how would you generally structure it around golf? Like, you think typically training same days, training other days? I know you mentioned the weekend piece of like not wanting to go, especially if they're competing or playing a ton, not wanting to go in wrecked. But how does a general week structure tend to shake out?
Yeah, love the highest intensity workout like right after they wrap up playing. Say I have someone who's playing in a tournament, if they can even train like their hardest session right after they finish or the day after, that's ideal. I know a lot of basketball teams do that, where they'll like finish a game and go hit the weight room right after. You can keep the intensity pretty high midweek, and like I said, I'll tend to taper it off a little bit just before the weekend if they're going to be going out. Just again, you don't want them to be feeling like it's affecting their swing when they're out there in a negative way. And then I made a post just a couple days ago with Exos Education, actually, about kind of priming the nervous system before you play and same day workouts, actually. And it's, not like go in and hammer, bench press to failure or anything like that, but just doing like super low volume but high intensity med ball, jumping, throwing, just to kind of increase that neural drive and get you ready to perform.
Yeah, I love it. Love consolidating some stressors.
Yeah.
Love the layout. But shoot, JT.
Yeah, that was such a hard concept to grasp as a young strength coach. I think when I was working with cross country, and it was like, okay, so they run really hard Monday, and then like, well, we should do our hard workout Tuesday, and then they work out really hard Wednesday, and it's like, then you just have this constant just like constant stimulus and stress where you never get a chance to recover. And it makes sense, but it's just counterintuitive to be like, oh yeah, they did their super hard workout, hit them again, and then they can actually have a proper rest day.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense, but yeah, just on surface level, it sounds crazy.
It does. But then, when you think about the stress and then your ability to recover, you start to understand that a little bit more and appreciate that from a week's perspective or even month's perspective and how you create that balance. Right? I love that word. I love that word. I'm gonna use that word in every podcast. But
Bosu ball guy,
Bosu ball, yeah,
right?
It's a Bosu ball thing.
Just close your eyes, yo. Just close your eyes.
Wait. JT. Do you have a Bosu ball? I know you're building a gym in your garage. Do you have a Bosu ball in there?
No, but I'm about to. I'm gonna hit up Wick. Yo, hit me up.
I got one I can sell you. I got one I can sell you, bro.
Sell me?
Yeah, I'm not using it. I got one from back in 2013 or 2014 that I bought when I had like a mobile personal training business. I had people hitting their little I don't know what I had people doing on it.
There's a lot of hate on the Bosu ball, so I'm gonna try to at least bring some balance in the industry to understand and know how to use it. Haven't figured it out yet, but I'm gonna I'm gonna get it there. I'm gonna get us there. Anyway, since the whole show, we've been talking about strength, rotation. What's on the rotation? What's on the music playlist, Jordan? What do you got? Top 3 that you're listening to. I already know Pushin Performance is one, but what's the other? Let's go other 3. First 3.
I thought you were gonna hit me with rappers. I was trying to prepare for this. So
Hey,
If you want to go rap, we can go rap.
we
I
can
mean,
rap.
you didn't ask that, so I think I should include something that's not rap as well.
Top 3.
fair.
We just want to know, Mr. Blanc.
Currently listening to one of my favorite rappers is MF Doom. I'm gonna try and give you guys something that people haven't said
Wow.
before on the show.
Okay.
Big Doom guy, all caps. Number 2, being in Seattle, I'll go Nirvana. I'll get in a little grunge mood sometimes.
Okay, a little
And
grungy.
that'll take me back to like I've got 2 guitars in my apartment. I play about once every 18 months. And when I play, it'll be some Nirvana, some simple shit for me to play. Number 3, Phil knows I got to go Andre Nickatina. Andre Nickatina.
Repping the Bay?
No, he talked me down off that ledge, man.
Andre
It was
Nickatina.
like one of our
That's some hot
first
takes.
conversations for some reason. We were talking about Andre Nickatina. I don't know how. I can't remember how it happened. I just remember that it happened. It was
I remember,
think I was there.
I remember making a bold claim. I remember saying like top 3 rappers of all time. And then I was like, maybe like top 10 for me. But people who I'm actually listening to, because I mean, I was doing my research too. I know you always ask people about rappers, and I was like, are they gonna ask what are you listening to now, or are you gonna listen to like top 3 rappers of all time? Because those are very different questions for me. Like,
Fair.
I don't really listen to Eminem, but like I would put him up there as like
Okay.
up there in that conversation of the GOAT. But like people I'm actually listening to, I listen to a lot of Vince Staples as well. I think if you looked at my Spotify rap, Vince Staples comes up on there a lot.
Okay.
Vince
Vince
Staples,
Staples.
MF Doom, Andre Nickatina, Nirvana.
Eclectic mix. Eclectic
Yeah, I mean,
mix is good.
you wanted you didn't give me a constraint of a genre, so
No, that's the constraint of
like that.
Mr. Blanc.
I might throw like the Black Keys in there if I went another kind of
Okay.
rock
Okay.
route.
I like that.
I like that.
Hey, the more we know, the more we know. You mentioned GOAT, which is Eminem. Who's the GOAT of golf? Who do you think?
Ooh.
Great question. I gotta go. I'm a Tiger guy, but I think you could make other arguments, but I think that especially the fact that he kind of like normalized strength training for golfers means that he's my guy for sure.
Okay. Tiger.
Not John Daly. That's crazy.
Nah, not John Daly. No, I'm actually like, I'll get some hate for this, but I'm not a John Daly guy at all. They're like, oh, dude, like, he did what at Hooters? He drank how many beers? Like,
I think it's just a desirability bias for a lot of guys. Are like, I just want to drink and smoke all day, so
Yeah.
he's my GOAT.
yeah, exactly. It's wild.
Oh boy. You said heaters? Is that what you said?
Yeah, he
Perfect. Next question. I know you always got heat on your feet. What's your favorite pair of
shit.
shoes?
Oh, shit. Damn. Whoa, I didn't see this one coming.
The curve.
Yeah, I think the Air Max 1's probably I'm a big runner guy. I love me some Air Max 1's. If you asked me 5 years ago, I might have said the Jordan 3. But I just feel like I'm doing a lot when I step out in some Jordans now. I
Statement.
don't know why. Yeah.
Big statement.
Sometimes you gotta do the most, man. Sometimes you gotta do the most when you pop out.
Yeah, but man, my favorite pair of shoes of all time is probably the MF Doom Nike SB Dunk High, and I'm kicking myself because I had them and I wore them and stuff, beat them up, and then I was like, I'm gonna get a new pair. Like I'll just buy a new pair. They're probably like $300 at the time, and I sold mine for like I don't know, $80, $60. Like they were beat up.
Damn.
And then he passed away, and the value of the shoe 10x'd. I'm never gonna own another pair of them. Like they're
crazy?
over $1,000 now. Maybe not 10x, but they're hell expensive now. But I thought that was one of the coolest shoes, man. It had his artwork from his album Food on the insole, and they had like a icy outsole, but the artwork was under there as well. They had ostrich
Super sick
leather
shoe.
on the shoe, had the mask on the tag. They were, that was like my favorite pair. And I was like, I beat these up. I'll buy another pair. And then he passed away like a month after. And I was like, oh, never going to get these again.
Crazy how that happens, right?
Yeah.
All right.
Same with the, like all the Kobe's too. All the Kobe's just went crazy after he passed away.
I don't even have a pair of Kobe's. Is that funny?
Really?
That shocks me.
That's crazy.
Actually, no, I take that back. I have one. Somebody gave it to me. I never actually bought a pair.
What size you wear? Let me send you some.
Yeah.
I'll trade you. I'll get you a pair of the MF Dooms and give me a size 10 Kobe.
Not a fair trade.
Not a fair trade, but that's all right. But one of our favorite questions we like to ask all of our guests is, what have you changed your mind on recently?
Sure, I feel like I've heard someone else say this on here, or maybe it's just conversations I've had with some colleagues. But I used to be very much like, closed chain exercises, free weights, no machines type of guy, no isolation exercises. And especially for like some of the Gen Pop people I work with, like, man, I love me a machine. Just to kind of, most of them are I want to build muscle or I want to lose weight. And just the stability that a machine offers, and also the repeatability too, of like knowing we are doing the same thing here every time, instead of like finding a new strategy to, the only thing you can do is change the speed, but like, I keep tabs on that. But such an underrated tool for building muscle, I think. We don't have a ton of them in our facility. I might get fired from Exos for for touting machines here, but I wish we had a leg press in there, or we've got a couple things, but a leg press would be nice in there. So yeah, I find myself using them with Gen Pop a lot. Also in the off season, like it helps you to put some muscle mass on your frame as a golfer. We used to say it for baseball, but like mass equals gas for these throwers. And it's the same for golf. If you've got more, mass behind that ball, it's going to go further. Would you rather get hit by a semi or by a smart car? I think we all know the answer. And it's same for isolation exercises too. Like I used to be embarrassed if I did like bicep curls or something. I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go down in the group X room where no one can see me if I'm gonna do bicep curls. But even that for golf, man, like having some muscle on your arms and doing isolation exercises is like, it's a part of that. If you want bigger arms, that's probably what you should be doing.
Yeah. God, that's such a weird strength and conditioning thing that happened.
Isn't it?
Vilifying that stuff, like just against any logic or principle.
Right. Don't gotta be ashamed of it.
Be your true self.
Yeah. Give yourself some grace. Just want to have a juicy pump.
Just get a juicy pump.
Right? Pipes for the swipe.
Is that all three of the rapid fire? Is that it? I
got more of them, but Phil's dying right now, so I'm gonna save him for part 2.
Pipes for the swipe. I guess we wrap it up with that was too much. What's next, bro? What is next for you, Mr. Blanc? What is next for Fairway Golf Fitness? What value are you trying to give to your audience?
For sure. I mean, I spent the first, I've been posting every day for 400 plus days, basically. And there's only so much you can do in these like 15, 20-second clips. So I've started taking on some people, basically like beta testing some programs. I've been doing it for a long time, actually. Started with friends, moved to acquaintances, and now I've started taking some people through a program. And we've been getting really promising results. So haven't done a launch yet, but I've got a product that I've put tons of time into and I'm really proud of. And so you can expect to see some training programs coming soon from Fairway Golf Fitness.
Hell yeah, brother. That's super exciting. You know, we'll be sharing. You know, we'll be gassing it up.
Appreciate you.
To get the people what they need, man. Make the space a little bit better.
Yeah, that's the goal. You know, change it. Just have a positive impact on this strength conditioning space and golf because it needs it. You know, and like I said, it's I've been blown away by how many messages I've gotten from people saying how much my content has helped them, and I'm excited about the prospect of how much I can help them with like a proper structured program instead of just them piecing things together from my little reels.
Yeah.
Well, damn, bro. I mean, for sure, you inspire us every day. Because JT and I stink at posting consistently. I mean, stink's probably harsh.
No, we stink.
We stink.
I mean, I feel like you guys are pretty good, man. Especially like the amount of work that goes into filming a podcast like this is it's no joke. You know,
We appreciate it. We
It's
appreciate
not
it.
like, you know, I can step into the apartment gym and be like, oh, I got to churn something out in 5 minutes if I need to. Whereas this is like a proper investment of time here. So
It's all relative, right?
Not easy.
It's all relative.
All relative.
It's not easy.
Writing an Instagram caption sometimes it'd be melting my mind trying to write an Instagram caption, taking like half an hour.
I'm gonna record this little mobility stretch. I'm gonna see if anybody messes with it. I'm like, bro,
an hour writing about
an
it.
hour and a half. Just putting 3 words on. Like, my gosh, Jordan, you're killing it, bro. Jesus Christ. I'm gonna turn this off.
Where can people find you, Jordan? Where can people find you, connect with you, hit you up?
You can find me at Fairway Golf Fitness on Instagram, also on TikTok and YouTube. I've fallen off entirely, but that's one of my goals is to start posting across different platforms as well. And then also at fairwaygolffitness.com.
Oh, you got the website popping.
It's going.
Oh my god, it's on all that's in the show notes. So you don't have to look to us in the show notes. JT, where can people find you?
CoachJT.mp3. Jordan, appreciate you, man. You are inspiring not only golfers but a lot of coaches too, and just getting out of their head and posting and sharing their knowledge and helping others. So that includes me and Phil. So appreciate you, man.
Can I leave you guys with one quote that I'm probably gonna butcher?
Of course, of course.
So I want to kind of reiterate what Emma said on her podcast too, where she was just telling people like, just put yourself out there and just do it. I think it was one of our presidents. I think it was President Truman or something like that. And I think he said that imperfect action is better than perfect inaction. And I think that's kind of, I spent 2 years thinking about this, and I filmed a like free program, burnt it down, rewrote it, filmed it, burnt it down. Did that 3 times over 2 years, where I was just like, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. First time it was the gym isn't fancy enough. The second time I had a cold and I was like, I'm like sniffing. Why am I like sniffling while I'm filming this? And the third time I was like, I can't put anything out if I don't have like a microphone. How am I going to put something out where I'm just filming on my iPhone? And literally 3 years of building something, spending hours on, and just restarting. And if I had started originally when I planned to, like, I would be so much further along than I am now. So just want to encourage people to just put something out there into the world and learn as you go. Just iterate and just make it better. And I think you'll be better for it in the long run.
Damn. I feel like you were speaking to JT and I personally right there. That was
Honestly.
That was necessary. I think a lot of people need to hear that one.
Yeah.
Is the podcast it's been a brainchild for a while?
No, because I forced JT's hand, I think, a little bit. To like, let's just throw some stuff out there and see what it sticks. But like, JT's a textbook overthinker. I'm a textbook underthinker. But I get scared when I'm alone. Like, I'm afraid to post stuff on my own. I don't know why. I'm afraid. Like, I don't know what's going to happen to me when I post consistently. But I'm just like afraid that something bad is going to happen. I don't know what that is.
We'll die. We'll die if we post. Yeah. So
I'm afraid that Jordan's gonna be like, "This ain't it, bro."
Never. You guys are always dropping the nuggets on there.
Well,
Appreciate
Jordan, I
it.
love that. Thank you for leaving that for the folks. I mean, that's that alone is enough for just a 5-star review. Rating, subscribe, follow
Yeah.
Jordan, show Jordan some love. I think. But thank you again for jumping on here with us, brother. This was a ton of fun.
Pleasure chatting with you guys as always.
Cool. Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate you, man.
Take care, yo.